Welcome back. Now, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari has blamed faulty, detailed project reports and defective road designs prepared by civil engineers and consultants for increasing road accidents and fatalities in the country. Gadkari pointed out that the worst quality DPRs are made in India, holding engineers largely responsible for the rise in the number of road accidents due to poor planning and design. He further added that even small things like road signages and marking systems are very poor in India, and that we need to learn from countries such as Spain, Austria, and Switzerland. Gadkari also said that India witnessed about 180,000 deaths due to road accidents in 2023 alone. According to him, with road safety a top priority, the government aims to reduce the number of road accidents by 50% by the year 2030.
The most important culprit are who are making detailed project report, DPR. And there are thousands of mistakes. We have to rectify that. And the quality of DPR is so bad that today somewhere it is in my mind that the persons who are responsible, we should register FIR against them and take to them in custody. This reaction is because of that every place where because of a small civil engineering mistakes, there are hundreds of deaths are there.
So, does the Union Minister have a point? Is this the main issue behind road accidents in our country? Let me go across to my guests who are joining me at this point. We have Kushan Mitra, who is a noted automotive journalist. We have Anurag Kulshrestha, who is the founder and president of the Tracks Society, which is the road safety, which is one of India's leading road safety NGOs. And I'm also joined by Dr. Sudhir Krishna, who is the former secretary of the Ministry of Urban Development. Thank you all, gentlemen, for joining me at this point. Let's begin with you, Kushan. What is your assessment here? Is faulty DPRs, faulty constructions, faulty engineering one of the key reasons? Because we have seen the number of times a speed breaker is constructed out of nowhere, which causes more road safety accidents rather than prevent them.
Oh, sure. There are lots and lots of things that are wrong with the way roads are designed. I personally believe that, for example, traffic flow is also very, very badly managed. You have crossing traffic flow, and I can give you examples in Delhi where I live. At several places with their major intersections, traffic flow is so badly planned that there's crossing traffic flow, and you've got to be really wary on every side of you in case nobody slams into you. It's not so much the road user's fault. This is not a new argument. It's not just a faulty DPR. It's also whenever we we retrofit a road, or we add a new flyover, we're adding a new U-turn. It's so badly done. People are going from left to right or right to left and can easily slam into each other. You just saw a very recent accident in Maharashtra where a two-wheeler was trying to cross over and the bus was trying to avoid him. So these things happen, and these have to be fixed at the project report, the DPR stage itself, because better road design will only increase safety. And I think the minister is absolutely right over here.
No, but okay, let me bring in Dr. Sudhir Krishna at this point also to play the devil's advocate. Dr. Krishna, the point which Kushan has mentioned is that a lot of times retrospective changes to roads, whether it be in the construction of a flyover suddenly or an underpass to reduce traffic congestion, or the hasty addition of a speed breaker to slow down traffic, can they really be avoided? Because given how population and given how our cities are expanding at a rapid rate, it is probably impossible to predict this traffic congestion to the extent at which we are actually seeing it play out in our cities.
I think it is not impossible. Now with the AI and with the digitalization and with the integrated command and control centers which are available in many major cities, it should be possible to monitor the traffic flow and design the roads on one hand, and also monitor and regulate the traffic systematically, more systematically than ever before. I think the challenge in respect of accident lies in more ways than only this much. One challenge is that people are also not following the road signs properly or the traffic signals. traffic jumping has increased. And I notice, I also keep on driving in the city, and all of us see
Yeah.
where there is more regulation, where people are apprehended for crossing the signals. So many people, when they observe that nobody is observing, then they cross the red light also, jump the red light. So that is one reason. And second is that to be fair to the people also, the walkways are vanishing. It is difficult to walk on the cities. So people are walking on the main
Yeah,
carriageway,
that's true. That's
crossing,
true.
and there are no proper signages, where zebra crossings are not properly organized or designed with inadequate lighting arrangements. So therefore, people are crossing road also like jaywalking, here and there they are crossing road also. That also leads to fatalities. And number three, the large number of two-wheelers are being added. This Zomato and this Amazon delivery persons, and they are reckless almost, because they have to
Not to mention e-rickshaws.
beat the timelines of delivery. So motorcycles on the streets with no proper division of demarcation as to which is the lane for two-wheelers, which is the lane for four-wheelers, which is the lane for non-motorized transportation, buses also around. So there is as you are showing on the screen also, very right screen also, there is no demarcation of typology of types of vehicles on the street. So we have to have proper road design in which walking lane should be there proper, and non-motorized lane, and two-wheelers also. Buses, there should be bus lane. Very important is bus lane now. So I think road management, traffic management has to be given far more attention than that is being given now.
Anurag Kulsheshwar weigh in on this debate. Mr. Gadkari pointed a lot on the importance of having better signages. But in a country where I really don't think anyone actually understands how zebra crossings work, and something as basic as a zebra crossing is never understood or adhered to or followed by by either pedestrians or by users, do you really expect signages to make a big difference?
Exactly, signages and road marking. These are the two main principles, or maybe the teachers for the road users. And unfortunately, we are doing the road marking on our roads in a very straight manner. Whenever we are reaching to the cuts, diversions, mergings, crossings, we forget this because nobody knows in India how to draw the lines on crossings, diversions, and all.
Exactly.
Second thing, signages. In Delhi, almost there was a study around 6 years back. Almost 50% signages are placed in a faulty manner. And I saw this. Second thing, we have to segregate two things. One is the existing infrastructure, for which DPR was done around 50, 60 or 100 years back. And second is the upcoming infrastructure. If we'll distinguish these two things separately, then one thing is very clear: in the existing road network, like in the cities, there's no matter of expansions, only the flyovers are the cause for that. DPR, if the DPR is faulty,
Yeah.
then to be very frank, if there's a DPR for a flyover, then it is a DPR for just flyover. But how it will be joining other roads, where it is landing, this is a practicality about this, because even after the just flyover, there's a left cut or right cut. Naturally, the accidents will increase. So practicality must be there along with the DPR, and DPR is a very technical things, but road safety and the number of increasing accidents, these are the
Okay.
basis of that we have thing, because this is only the missing things. And second thing, if I'm the owner of a group and I'm complaining for last 10 years, 15 years, my employees are not working, few of the employees are not working properly, what should I do? Should I wait for number of faults, number of deaths every year? So somewhere and somehow we have to reach to and some SOPs, like somebody has mentioned about the zebra crossings. Zebra crossings are blocked almost at 80% on our roads. 80% zebra crossings are blocked, whether it's on median or at the sidewalks or the footpath side. So it's a normal principle. If right now there's a penalty of just 1 lakh if there's a fault of design. If 10,000 crore or 20,000 crore or 100,000 crore project is there and just a penalty of 1 lakh for faulty design, so I think we have to work first on the policies. So what are the policies and on which ground we will
Okay.
make them, we will give them the punishment. So there's nothing over there in Motor Vehicle Act saying 1 lakh's punishment only. So what will happen after FIR? 1 lakh's penalty? We are playing with the life of the people. Nothing, 100% infrastructure is wrong in the existing cities, existing road network. And on our highways, I'm very much serious to say about this. Almost 99% exit entry are faulty. 99%. If I as a
Okay.
layman can see this, can observe this nationally, why not our policymakers? Why not our engineers? So first frame the policy, how to punish these guys, and then specify the problems. If these are the problems, if lane marking is not proper, then this will be the punishment. If faulty design is there, so this will be the problem. We know thousands of design on our network, on our internet. Can't we compare it if we are just comparing with the developed countries' network? So don't we have the mind
Absolutely fair
to
enough.
compare with our roads with their roads? Cannot we cannot basically provide our
Fair enough.
public a role
So,
model?
what
We
you're
are
saying, Anurag ji,
making it. Yes,
Anurag ji, what
please.
you're saying there, this is a issue. Road safety is such a complex issue. There are various ways to look at it. There are ways to look at city infrastructure and city safety versus highway safety. There's also to look at existing infrastructure and how they can be upgraded to meet those things and how we can plan future infrastructure projects as well and whether they can be safe or not. Kushan, let me come back to you and let me now focus on the bit of the highways aspect here, because that is something which Mr. Gadkari has under his tenure put a lot of emphasis on. And I think everyone will agree that the state of highways has expanded massively, at least in terms of length of highways. But there are issues which relate and continue with quality control. For instance, I remember a very recent stretch, I think it was of the Delhi-Mumbai expressway, where incidents went viral of how there was a depression on the road which was leading vehicles to lose control and cause emergency brakes and often lead to accidents. When something like those happen, which are very evidently bad planning and bad engineering, should the penalty, as Mr. Kulshesh has been pointing out, not be a lot more stringent to ensure that crores of money are not wasted in preparing and building a faulty engineering project?
Oh, definitely. Penalties should be very high on the way roads are laid out. I mean, there are brand new expressways. I drive very often across the country, all over the country when we go on drives.
Yes.
And you see even roads that are very, very new are already having severe faults. There should be very strict punishments. For example, there was an issue in Delhi for the new Pragati Maidan underpass. That's not an expressway, but that's already faulty. You should have very strict penalties on the way it's done. But definitely, the one thing that Mr. Gadkari mentioned is also road design and the way you're doing exits. As Anurag said, the exits have to be far better planned. You know, people are going very fast into the exits. They should be able to slow down. I just a couple of days ago drove down the Yamuna Expressway, which was one of India's first expressways, and I think still has one of the best build qualities of any expressway. But other roads are being planned very, very
Yes.
poorly. I think we are rushing to build the roads and then fixing the problems later instead of building the road well at the very first point. Also, I mean, it also comes down a lot to the way we license people. Road markings, as you said, on the roads are very, very poor. I mean, simple rule like if you go to the west, there's a double white line separating the roads. Now, double whites usually means you should not cross under any circumstance. Most people don't know that. They don't know the difference between a dashed line marker and a solid line marker. They have different. These have different rules for them, and unfortunately, sometimes you even meet local traffic policemen who don't know the difference over here. Speed markings you have different speed markings for different types of vehicles, and very often those are very difficult to read because the font sign is so small, you can't see them properly. A lot of
Yes.
things, and these are easy fixes These are not difficult fixes. I think these are easy fixes. But it also comes down to getting people to follow traffic rules better. For example, if you go on any highway in India, you notice a lot of heavy vehicular traffic on the fast lane, on the overtaking lane, which is the right-hand side lane. Now, right-hand side lane should be just
Exactly.
overtaking for lighter vehicles. They should not be for heavy vehicles. I know why heavy vehicles go there. They're very scared of hitting two-wheelers. But the other day on expressways, I also you see very, very slow e-rickshaws. They should not be anywhere near a high-speed road. And again, this comes down, as another panelist said, comes down to enforcement. Enforcement has to improve. Enforcement, of course, is improving thanks to more and more cameras all over the place. But people should be, we should license better. We should teach young kids how to drive better, follow the rules better, what road signs mean. Like what
And
does a
that
upside
of
down
course
triangle
is,
mean?
yeah, Kushan, that is of course 50% of the bargain, and that is, I would argue, the more 50% more tricky 50%, because as you pointed out, if you ask most people, they won't understand the difference between a double line demarker and a single line demarker. Ideally, these are things which are supposed to be tested at a driving test, but we all know how many RTOs across the country actually follow these rules and regulations when they give out a license. So we'll come to that aspect in a while. But Dr. Sudhir Krishna, at the end of the day, does the buck not stop with Mr. Gadkari's office himself? Because if he's acknowledging that most of the problems causing accidents in the country is because of faulty DPRs and faulty civil engineering projects, then the onus is on his ministry, to crack down and crack down strongly to ensure there is efficient deterrence from repeating such mistakes.
Well, obviously, I mean, the minister has said is right that those who are preparing the DPR ought to be held accountable. But I mean, to be fairer to the DPR preparation agencies also, the issue of data is there. You want to have proper data. If you are preparing a DPR, adequate data availability is also a challenge. We have the data, but we don't have the data, which means there are arrangements for having data, but they are not in public domain easily, and they are not talking to each other. The data sources do not talk to each other. So, and the person who is given the time to prepare DPR is given such a short time that he cannot possibly conduct a fresh road survey to prepare a proper DPR. I mean, to be fair to the DPR agencies also, not that they should not be held accountable. But therefore, what we require is to have the road data collection on a regular basis and publish it in a proper domain regularly. Now, even for the data of fatality, which is being quoted by National Crime Record Bureau, it is much different than the data quoted by the sample registration survey. Almost it will be 1 and 2 times. The difference will be 70 to 100% difference will be there in the data on road accidents compiled by different agencies. And the data of origin and destination travels, who starts from where, what is the typology or nature of a road journey in different places. Where is the data? Please tell me. When you start planning something and the time given to launch a project is so short that the agencies are under pressure. So I think, and the road safety committees are there, district planning committees are there. There are agencies and organizations, but they don't interact with each other. So a time has come to have a proper district road safety committee in a more sustained manner. On paper, it is there. In some cities, in some districts, they act very better than others, but they require more better structure and better data structure. That is one. There is a state road safety committee, national road safety committee, district road safety committee. Have you heard of them working? Have you ever heard of them, what they are doing? So that is one challenge. On the other hand, participation of people also. If you think I can mention it right now, I will do on a later part of the discussion. Quickly, I want to make 2 points. Look at the impatience among our people.
Please go ahead now.
When you are driving a vehicle, you find most of the other drivers are generally impatient. Look at the honking. At Delhi airport, you feel embarrassed that you are at the airport of the national capital. So much of honking by the drivers of all types, not only taxi driver, every other driver is honking and overtaking the vehicles, is high speeding, not using the seat belt. That is one side. And how the driving licenses are given. I know in European countries, in US, getting a driving license is such a challenge. People learn for 1 year, they go to driving school before they are able to get a driving license. Here, within few days, you get driving license. So driving license, its renewal, all those things have to be seen. Now, I'm sorry to say, putting a whole lot of onus on the DPR preparation agency, which means that we will be ignoring many other factors which are contributing equally, if not more significantly, to the road fatalities.
I mean, I know so many people who have no idea how to drive a car but still have had a four-wheeler car license for so many years. What to even say? Let me finally wrap it up with Anurag Kulshishta. Anurag, the point being made, which comes up again and again in all these questions, all these discussions that we are making at this point, is that no amount of the world's best infrastructure, the world's best designed cities, roads, bridges, highways, etc., cannot fail if the people who use it are intent on creating chaos. When you look at the number of accidents caused by wrong side driving, number of accidents caused by speeding, number of accidents caused by people who are taking turns or in U-turns or without putting appropriate indicators. Can any amount of signages or better construction help when there is no mass attention being given to changing the behavior of the people who use these roads? Just look at the number of kids who are often hanging out of sunroofs, which has become a new toy for every car driver to play with.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll start from something. Like if we don't have the proper infrastructure, you can't enforce accordingly. Second thing, we are more dependent on present days. We are more dependent on the digital technology and digitalization of enforcement and all. Interestingly, people are becoming more impatient out of all these things. 75% of the challans are unpaid in India. We don't have the police force for looking after this matter. Second thing, state governments are just giving the discount on that. They are waiving off the challans amount. Means we are telling the people directly, we are sending them the message. Whatever you want to do, do it. And after 2 or 3 years, your penalty will be waived off. And now the judiciary system. The number of memes on our social media now. This Lok Adalat will be conducted soon. Come over there with your all the pending challans and it will be waived off. This is the mindset of our India, every section of India. Second thing, when we are looking towards the basic needs, basic lane markings, zebra crossings, even visibility, there is a green tribunal and it's clear direction. If a tree is there and must 6 feet must be the digged space around it. If this green tribunal comes forward, then entire road network, almost 70% of the road network in India will be now with mud. There will be no road then. So we somehow and somehow, because ultimately a board must be there in transport ministry, which is I think pending for last 4 or 5 years. This is the seriousness of on the issue. The board is still pending. There's no board in India in ministry. Second thing, proper guidelines. I have already told you specifications must be there. I'm giving one example. There's a law in all developed countries. In case if there's no demand of the story, you cannot portray that violation of traffic rules in media or then newspaper, in news, in even this movies, serials. But specifications are there. What is speeding? Means if you are pushing the accelerator again and again, means you are
Absolutely.
showcasing speeding. If you are driving, your face expressions are in this manner, then it will be over speeding. You are changing the gear, this is over speeding. On the basis of the specification, they are ruling or that they are governing the people. But here there's no specification, there's a single guideline from our Ministry of INT.
Exactly. So it is the only takeaway I can have from this is, gentlemen, is that this is a long way. We have a long way to go. But the first step has to be to acknowledge the seriousness of the problem. Thankfully, we have a transport minister who has done that multiple times in recent times. But again, the approach has to be multifold, both in terms of user behavior, consumer behavior, as well as in terms of manufacturer behavior. And as we said, we have all just touched upon some of these issues, but we'll keep doing that in the days to come. Thank you so much, Kushan Mitra, Anurag Kulshrestha, and Dr. Sudhir Krishna for joining us on this very important discussion this afternoon. And on that note, I think it's time for a short commercial. But more news and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned to Mirror now.